two friends walking down Baltimore Avenue in casual conversation came across this very spot we stand today. It looked a little different back then. As some of you may remember, Paula's gas station stood here on this corner. They stopped for a moment looking at the property, and both agreed that this unique corner would make an excellent spot for a veterans memorial. They also knew that it would not be an easy task, and one that they could not accomplish alone. And this is where the story begins. Then 10th Ward Alderman John Pope got the ball rolling, and with the financial help from the City of Chicago, established the Hegewisch Veterans Memorial. Well, one of those two friends I just spoke about was Don O'Bara, and the other, my father, Edward Jarmuska. My father felt that an M4 Sherman tank that was used during World War II and manufactured at Press Steel here in Hegewisch would be a fantastic addition to the memorial. So he put in a request with the United States government, and he waited and he waited. His love of this community and his desire to honor his fellow veterans kept his dream alive. Throughout the years, my father continued to correspond with the Department of the Army, making sure that Hegewisch was still on the waiting list. With the help of U.S. Senator Richard Durbin and State Senator John Cullerton, word came last year in October that although there were no M4 Sherman tanks available, they did have an M60 tank used during the Vietnam War. This is when work began to have the tank transported from Fort Rutger in Alabama here to Hegewisch. The tank made its journey to its final resting place here in July, and with the help of Alderman Susan Sadlowski Garza, it was completely refurbished to its beautiful new condition, making the Hegewisch Veterans Memorial finally complete. Alderman Garza, along with a dedicated committee, spent countless hours meeting weekly, planning and preparing, and donating their precious time working out the final details for today's long-awaited day. My father, Ed, is a very strong-willed, sometimes stubborn, and yet he's a very humble man, and therefore I am his voice today. Thank you to all of those who worked so very hard on this memorial from its very beginning. It is something that the community of Hegewisch can be very proud of. I'm sure this day has exceeded my father's wildest dreams. And as much as I know he would love to name each individual person and thank them, it just would be impossible. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my father's very faithful friends, Mike Anyos and George Tambakis. Without their commitment, this tank would still be parked at Fort Rutger in Alabama. And finally, to my father's late wife, Ann Jarmuska. Your generous heart was an inspiration to all. You gave so much to so many. In conclusion, I wanted to leave you with this. I was very fortunate growing up to spend a lot of time with my father at the American Legion Post. I learned about patriotism, integrity, the importance of serving your community, loving your God, and loving your country. I'm hopeful that this memorial, sponsored by Schweitzer, PLAV, Sutka, and South Shore Post, will be a symbol for all of these things. So it is now that I'd like to dedicate this tank and this memorial. On behalf of South Shore, American Legion Post 388, Commander Edward Jarmuska, and its auxiliary, I now dedicate this Hegewisch Veterans Memorial. It is dedicated to the memory of those who have served and those that fell in the service of their country, on land, sea, and air. It is dedicated in the name of those who offered their lives that justice, freedom, and democracy might survive. The lives of those who have made the supreme sacrifice are glorious before us, and their deeds are an inspiration. As they served America in time of war, yielding their last full measure of devotion, may we serve America in time of peace. I dedicate this memorial to them and to the preservation of the memory who died that liberty might live. May God bless you all, and God bless America.
Thank you, Deborah. Father Michael, will you please take the stage again and say the closing prayer?